Arsenal have to sign Xavi Simmons. This is the player, for me personally, who picks the lock to that Premier League title. He has everything that Arsenal need: width, ability, versatility, goals, assists. He's at the right age. He fits the profile and he can adapt very, very quickly. They're also being linked to Victor Osimhen, and there's an Italian newspaper come out that Arsenal are prepared to pay between 60 to 70 million pounds for Victor Osimhen, and they even have said there could be a bid this week. And also the last topic, Ivan Toney apparently has agreed personal terms with Tottenham, who for me is the closest thing we could bring in to Harry Kane, and I genuinely believe he would be a fantastic signing for us. Make sure, if you haven't already, you do go down, press that subscribe button. We had over 70 new subscribers off yesterday's video. Make sure you watch the video the whole way through, because there'll be various different topics we're going to be speaking about. And of course, go down and drop a like on the video. Now, I said in yesterday's video that I personally believe Arsenal don't need a number 9. And it's a bit of a debate right now. You know, Arsenal scored around 90 goals in the Premier League last season. They had a very good season. They finished second, and they only lost out on the league title by 2 points. They scored 5 less goals than Manchester City, who won the league. But the argument that Manchester City are going to go and strengthen, which means Arsenal need to strengthen, I do think is true. Now, Manchester City are linked to the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, but I don't think Man City will sign him for at least another few weeks because, you've got the Copa America coming up, the Euros is being played, and that kind of puts the ball in Arsenal's court as if to say, what are you going to do to react to us signing Bruno Guimaraes if that deal happens? Now, I look at the likes of, Xavi Simmons, Victor Osimhen, Gyökeres, Benjamin Sesko. If there is one player who should be in an Arsenal shirt, it is Dutch international, 21 years of age, Xavi Simmons. Now, if you don't know who that is, he is a top player for me, a top player. His value is around 80 million euros, according to transfermarket.co.uk. Obviously, he's on loan from PSG to the likes of RB Leipzig and had a very, very, very good season. 8 goals and 13 assists, 21 goal contributions in the Bundesliga in 32 games. He also played 8 games in the Champions League, got 2 goals and 2 assists. He played 2 games in the DFB Pokal, and he also played 1 game in the Super Cup. Had a very, very good season. Didn't have the best of the opening games at the Euros for the Netherlands. He is linked to a move to Bayern Munich, to Barcelona. Now, with regards to PSG, apparently there's a clause in his contract where if PSG were to sell him this window, then PSV would get they get a sell-on clause, and they would get a percentage of the sale. I think there could be a deal similar to what Arsenal did with Brentford, where they have a loan with an option to buy. Now, I genuinely believe that if you were to put a Xavi Simmons in this Arsenal squad, he would be the game changer. He is so versatile, it is unreal. Last season, 32 games in a RB Leipzig shirt, right? 32 games in the league. Well, actually, it was around 43 games in all comps. 18 on right wing, 23 games on the left wing, and 4 games in attacking midfield. He, 25 goal contributions in 43 games as a 21-year-old. And we know how much Mikel Arteta loves versatility. He loves players that are versatile, that can play in multiple positions. Everyone that has been signed, in the last, I want to say, the last 12 months under Arteta, Kivior, Tomiyasu, Ben White, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, You know, if you look back, even the last 2 years, Zinchenko, etc., etc., etc. Every player that has been brought through the door has a number, um, a number of different positions they can play. Now, he is going to cost a lot. You know, he's only 21 years of age. According to Transfer Market, he's worth 80 million euros. I can see him going between 80 to 100 million pounds. Now, what Xavi Simmons can give Arsenal, he can provide big competition to the wide players, the likes of Bukayo Saka. Even if Bukayo Saka has 6 or 7 terrible games on the bounce, which is very unlikely, but if that scenario happens, you got a Xavi Simmons there. You don't need to rely on Bukayo Saka to go and play 50 games next season. If he hasn't even played in the number 10 role. If Odegaard, for whatever reason, gets injured, you've got a backup there. You know, on the left-hand side, they've got good competition. You've got the likes of, you know, Leandro Trossard, Martinelli. On the right-hand side, you've only really got Saka. And up front, you've got Havertz, Nketiah, and Jesus. And I think Havertz is basically solidified that number 9 to his that's going to be his position next season. He's playing the number 9 for the likes of Germany. He's got a good record in multiple leagues. He's got experience in the French league. You know, he's got 25 goal contributions in 43 for Leipzig. He's got 34 goal contributions in 48 games for the likes of PSV. He is a top talent, left wing, right wing, way too dangerous. It does not matter. For me, that is the player that takes Arsenal to the next level. I'm talking about going and winning Premier League titles. That is the player right there. Another player that's being linked to Arsenal, coming out from the Italian newspapers, is Victor Osimhen. Now, Napoli are in an interesting stage because they've just got Antonio Conte. You've got Cravadonna. I can't pronounce his name for love nor money because it is just too complicated for me to pronounce. I'll give it a go, but is it Kvaratskhelia? I believe it's how it's pronounced. Georgian international left wing. His agent come out around, 48 hours, 72 hours ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and basically said that they want to leave Napoli. You've also got, apparently, Victor Osimhen has got a gentleman's agreement in place. Antonio Conte, in my opinion, would not have signed to be the new Napoli head coach if these players were going to leave. I also don't necessarily think Arsenal will pay the asking price, which is £120 million. But what Arsenal have learned under Mikel Arteta is you don't pay the asking price and you kind of work them down. At first, West Ham wanted 130 million. Arsenal paid around 105 million. You know, you slowly bring that asking price down. Victor Osimhen, I don't necessarily think he is the best of targets for the likes of Arsenal. Yes, he's a goal scorer. Yes, he's got form for the big games. He's won league titles. He's got 15 goals in 25 games last season in the league. He got 2 goals in 6 games in the Champions League. Overall, he played around 33 games last season. He is an out-and-out number 9. He's linked to a move to the likes of Al Hilal, Arsenal, Man United, and Chelsea. I do believe that if one player is going to link back up with Antonio Conte, it would be the likes of Lukaku. And I believe that's why Chelsea are looking at other players. We'll get on to Chelsea in a few minutes. But I don't necessarily think Osimhen is the right player. Even if they snap him up for 60 or 70 million pounds, like, I would still have big question marks over if Saka does pick up an injury for whatever reason, who is going to fit that right wing position? Who goes in there in that right wing position for me? For me personally, I think Xavi Simmons would be a better fit, in an Arsenal shirt than the likes of, Victor Osimhen or even the likes of Gyökeres. I think the way that Xavi Simmons plays, stretches the pitch, loves to run at players, he's tricky in the box, fantastic link-up play. I think he's the real deal, exactly what Arsenal need. I don't necessarily think Victor Osimhen goes and goes and hits the ground running. I think he's going to need some time to adapt, and Arsenal don't really have that time. Whereas I look at Xavi Simmons, and I think he goes and just slots straight in. Tottenham are heavily linked with Ivan Toney. Now, over a year ago, lots of clubs were linked with Ivan Toney. He was the player on everyone's end of their tongues. He was the player that everyone wanted. He's got interest from Manchester United, interest from Tottenham. I personally believe he would be a massive, massive signing for Tottenham. I think he transforms us. I think with the amount of chances we create, we just need someone to come in and put the ball in the back of the net. I think if you look at 2 years ago, he got around 20 Premier League goals, and it's only because of stuff that's happened outside of football. It's kind of taken the spotlight off of him a little bit. I do think he comes in and really pushes Tottenham back into that Champions League positions. We could have Toney and Richarlison as our number 9s. On the right, you've got the likes of Takfusa Kubo from Sociedad being heavily linked. You've got the likes of Dejan Kulusevski and Johnson. On the left, you've got the likes of Son and Werner. And let's not forget, we are going to be playing Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. We're going to have a fixture congestion pile up in the early stages of the season because, you've got the Europa League game starting early. You've got the League Cup starting early. So squad rotation is going to be key. I believe Tottenham have got a potential homegrown problem coming our way, with the likes of Jed Spence, with the likes of Sessegnon, with the likes of, Joe Rodon, Ben Davies, Ollie Skip, all being linked away. He is a homegrown player. He's currently gone with the Euros with the England team. He's part of the CAA Stellar agency. He's heavily linked to a move to Manchester United and Spurs. He only has 1 year left on his contract. And I personally believe if you put him in a Tottenham shirt, he would do absolutely unreal. 83 games for Brentford in the Premier League, 47 goal contributions. His return is absolutely ridiculous. In the Championship, 45 games, 41 goal contributions. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's got Premier League experience at a team like Brentford, who kind of play a low block system. If you give, the likes of Eze when he eventually comes in, hopefully, or the likes of Maddison, that kind of free roam, creative number 10 role, and you've got the likes of Ivan Toney making those killer runs. Plus, his hold up play is second to none, one of the best in the Premier League. He's a fantastic penalty taker. He's a great header of the ball. Genuinely, his all round package for me at Tottenham genuinely improves us tenfold. We're linked to a lot of strikers, the likes of Santiago Jimenez, the likes of Dominic Solanke. We were linked with Sesko as well. I think out of all the players we've been linked to, Toney's the one. I'm not a big fan of that price tag around 60 million, 70 million pounds. I think you start the bid at around 35 million. 1 year left in his contract. Go in, test the waters, and see what Brentford. The worst comes to worst, they tell you, look, get lost. Best comes to best, they say, look, this is what we want. I generally think right now he would be a very, very good addition to Tottenham. I honestly believe that. Speaking of strikers, Chelsea are heavily linked and have put a bid in for Duran from Aston Villa. Now, I'm not a big fan of this signing. You got the likes of Guirassy at Stuttgart with a 17 million euro release clause. I think would be a better fit. And notoriously, the last 20 odd years, Chelsea have signed so many strikers and it has not worked out. The number 9 for them seems to be a cursed role. Other than the likes of Diego Costa and Didier Drogba, since 2004, 2005, they've had Torres. Okay, he had that fantastic performance at Barcelona when he won in the Champions League. So you could kind of put him in that category as well. But the likes of Falcao, Morata, Etu, Lukaku, Higuain, João Felix, so many strikers that have come into this Chelsea side. It's not the same Chelsea side, but come into Chelsea and genuinely have never been what they've been at previous clubs. Duran, for me, his highest goal scoring season was in the MLS, playing, overall, he's got He's got some good stats off the bench for Aston Villa. He had a couple of goals against the likes of Liverpool. You know, he's only 21 years of age, Colombian international. I'm not too sure if he's been called up for the Euros, but overall, look, I don't necessarily know if this is going to be the best of the best signings for Chelsea. I see a world in which they could bring in Duran and Guirassy, because overall, you know, you've got the likes of Guirassy, who's got a 17 million euro release clause. You could bring in Duran for around 35 million pounds. And then you've got Jackson, Guirassy, and Duran battling out for that number 9 position. What I would say is if they just bring in Duran and just have Jackson, you've got a potential player backing up a potential player. You need someone who's got a track record of scoring 20 league goals in a season. And Guirassy did do that this season for Stuttgart. He had a very good season. They're now back into the Champions League. But Stuttgart have actually got some good players. They've got, you know, Chris Furyk, heavily linked with Tottenham out on that right-hand side. He's been another good player. Bayern Munich are now extremely interested in him. But overall, I do think Guirassy would be the better signing for the likes of Chelsea. I don't think Duran comes in and sets the world alight. I'll be honest with you. I think, you know, there's a lot of potential around him. He's certainly got ability, but not for me. Like, I think they need a more of a concrete player who you know is going to come in and provide goals. And the striker market isn't the best. They're also being linked to the likes of Michael Olise, and I do think overall he would be a good signing for them. But let me know your thoughts down below. It's going to be an interesting season. It's going to be an interesting summer window. Sorry, you've got the Euros, you've got the Copa America starting this Friday. Argentina versus Canada is the opening game. Make sure, if you haven't already, you go down, you subscribe to the channel, you like the video. Let me know your thoughts on Xavi Simmons, Ivan Toney, Victor Osimhen, Duran, and Guirassy. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you all for watching. I am out.